I'm a little bit worried about the accusation that I'm about 45 minutes. I promise it will be a lot shorter than that today because it's a family service. Really promise that. Tuesday was... No, it wasn't. We had fireworks, but it wasn't firework day. Tuesday was... All Saints Day. That's very, very impressive. I thought it might be good to ask the question today, what is a saint? Any suggestions? Any kind of suggestions as to what is a saint? Richard? Someone who said all their sins. Well, that's a very deep theological answer. That's very good. Is that what you think of when you think of a saint? I don't know. What do you think of? Beth?
Is it someone who's communicated with God and done something quite notable?
Someone that's done something special, so they kind of get, for God. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, any other kind of... Carrie? Died in the service of God. I mean, I've refrained. I Googled this, okay? It's a really interesting Google to find out about obscure saints and some of the things that they did or didn't do. And some of it's actually quite a little bit gross, but never mind, we won't go there. Kind of dying in and... What about Joseph? Go on. Someone that sacrifices their lives for others, okay? Charlie, right at the back. I can't quite catch that. I'm going to have to come closer. Someone that's passed on to heaven. That's an interesting one. Yeah, that's really interesting. I thought I'd kind of show you some of the results of my research. So, anyone remember this? Does rather show your age. Kind of, and then I'm told there's the question: do you remember the original? Or do you remember the remake? So, Jill remembers. Well, as we established, you're getting on a bit early, didn't we? Yeah, okay. The original. So it was Simon Templar, the Saint, and Ian Ogilvy was the guy in the original. Who remembers who? No, in the remake. Who remembers who played in the first series? Chris, you can't be that old, but you know it. Roger Moore, very, very impressive, very impressive. That's not the sort of saint we're talking about, sorry. I mean, definitely worth watching repeats of, I have to say, if only for a nostalgia trip. Often kind of people talk about saints as being particular people who are recognised because they were kind of did something for God or they died in a particular way. So I've got another picture. This is reputably pictures of Peter and Paul. Kind of they were apostles, but we call them Saint Peter, Saint Paul. Sometimes churches are named after saints. Can we have the next one? Apparently that's what St. Matthew looked like. I haven't got the foggiest what he really looked like, but there we go. But actually, I think the Bible tells us that we are all saints. There's some saints. Anyone recognise themselves there? Another picture, any more saints? Yeah, there's some saints there. Some of them are actually almost sitting in the same chairs now as they were at the point. Obviously it was warmer at that point in the year because no one's got scarves or coats or cardigans on. I think the Bible tells us that actually we're all saints. It actually means a holy one, someone who's set apart for God's special purposes. And that actually means, in a way, every follower of Jesus is a saint. Paul addresses his letters when he writes to churches to saints. He says that to all in Rome who are loved by God and called to be saints. That's what it means to follow Jesus. We're all meant to be saints. So on All Saints' Day, we think about all those saints that have gone before us. Who was it that said about people that have died? Remembering people that have died? Who was that? Someone said that, didn't they? Who was it that said that? Charlie said that, didn't he? He's moved. But remembering people that have died. So there's a picture here of my mum. Who I know was very, well, she wasn't always very saintly. You may have thought she was very saintly. She was my mum. I could differ on that one at times. But it's about remembering it's the technical theological term is the church triumphant and the church militant. So have a look around. We're the church militant. We're the ones that are getting on with the job now. We're the ones that are called to follow Jesus now. The church triumphant, are those that have run their race and finished their race and are kind of cheering us on as we run our race. And so kind of All Saints' Day is about stopping and thinking about those that have gone before us, remembering them. Our reading said, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run the race with perseverance marked out for us." And it's a bit of a contrast with Halloween, which is all about celebrating the dead, kind of getting excited about things that go bump in the night. All Saints is about celebrating the living, those that are living here now, and those that are living in glory. And it's about realizing that we're all involved in the same race. So we've been thinking about running the race quite a lot recently. In evening services, we've been thinking about Paul finishing his race and handing the baton on to Timothy. More of that in a moment. We've been thinking about us being called to run our race. And today I want to think about that great cloud of witnesses that's cheering us on so we can complete our race. And I thought I would tell you about two people that kind of passed that baton on. And so I could do with two volunteers to help me with a little bit of drama this morning. A couple of volunteers. Just two. Come on, not going to let me down now. Oh, thank you. And someone else? Come on, go on. Well done, Joseph. Right. How old are you?
8.
You're 8. Joseph, how old are you?
10.
You're 10. So you're the old man here, and you're the young person. Yeah, is that okay? So you're both going to be a couple of prophets, and we're going to think about what it means to hand the baton. Because, Joseph, you're very old and very distinguished, you get to have a robe. So let's drape that around you. I bet you're glad you didn't get that, aren't you? Watch out, you might get it in a minute. So, Joseph, today, I would like you to be Elijah. Yeah, is that okay? You're going to be the prophet Elijah. And if he's the prophet Elijah, can you guess who you might be? I think, I've just been told that the robe stinks. It was whispered very quietly, but we might as well share it. Would you mind being Elisha? Yeah? So they're two of those clouds of witnesses that are kind of cheering us on, kind of even now. Now, Elijah is a very old prophet. Can you kind of look very old, Joseph? That's great. That's great. Well, we really should have got a walking stick out for you, shouldn't we? So you're a very, very old prophet. And Elisha, you are young, healthy, energized, because and you are the person that's learning from Elijah. Do you think Elijah will be able to teach you a lot? You're not. Well, you're meant to be entering into this. Of course, you would learn lots from Elijah, because you would be like his apprentice and learning from him. Now, it's getting to the end of Elijah's life, so I'm afraid you're going to die. Is that all right? Sorry about that. We're just going to kill you off in a moment. And Elijah kind of knows it's getting to the end of his life, so he decides he's going to go off on his own to kind of end his days on his own. So you're going to go on a journey, but Elijah kind of knows something's going on because you're kind of perceptive, you're bright, really clever, and you don't want to let Elijah go off on his own. So would you try and go off on your own, but you've got to follow him and make sure he doesn't get away without you. That's it. Don't go too far because I still need you. That's it. You can kind of turn around and come back. That'd be great. Thank you very much. This is great acting. I love our drama team here. Just been put together. Brilliant. Now, Elijah is trying to stop you from going. Can you kind of tell Elijah not to come? No? But you definitely want to go. Yeah? So are you going to, yeah? So you won't give up. Yeah? So it gets to the river, and you've got to go across the river. So Elijah takes off his coat and he hits the river with his cloak. Go on. Great. And the river parts, and they go across the river on dry land. And they get, you get your feet wet if you don't stay with him. Brilliant. And when you get to the other side, Elijah is starting to feel, really pleased that Elisha's come with him. So Elijah says to Elisha, what can I do for you? And Elisha says, there's one thing. I would like a double portion of your spirit. And Elijah thinks about that. Can we do a thinking expression? And says that would be really difficult. I don't know if it's not really mine to grant. It's only God that can give you that. But if you see me disappear before your eyes and see me go up to heaven, then you'll know that that's going to be true. Now, this is the bit I've not worked out how to do. Anyone got a genius way of working out how we get a big fiery chariot in here? Any kind of recommendations? I was thinking about a trolley. I was going to go and nick a supermarket trolley and stick Joseph in that and read him off. But that would be borrow a supermarket trolley. But anyway, we need a big fiery chariot. Am I allowed to pick you up? Is that okay? Dad, can't see Dad now. Oh, as I pick you up, I'm the fiery chariot. Drop the cape. That's it. Brilliant. Right. You've just gone off to heaven. Your job's done. And Elisha's left here. And Elisha picks up the cloak and puts it on. And thinks, what happens now? Decides to go home. Gets to the river. What do you think you do when you get to the river? Very good. You see, that's what apprenticeships do, isn't it? You learn from the master. So Elisha copies what Elijah did and hits the river, and the river opens up, and Elisha gets to walk through on dry land. And isn't that amazing? And then there's people on the other side, and they see Elisha coming through the river, and they say, wow, the spirit of Elijah is now resting on Elisha, the prophet. And it's like Elisha's prayer has been answered, and Elisha's got that double portion of Elijah's spirit. That's a little bit like our relay race earlier. Did you spot the connection? That Elijah was coming to the end of his time serving God, so he was passing the baton on to the person that was going to follow him. Thank you. And then they were going to take their turn in running that race. One more, very quick one. Can you help me with another one? Is that okay? You don't need a smelly cloak this time. Just come and stand up, one either side. Again, older, younger. So that means you're going to be Paul and you're going to be Timothy. Okay? And so when Paul is in prison, sorry, no chains, but kind of, it's towards the end of his life, he writes to the last time to Timothy. And he says to Timothy, you, my son, well, sorry about that, you get the drift. You, my son, be strong in the grace in Christ Jesus, and the things you've heard me say in the presence of lots of witnesses, entrust to reliable people who will be qualified to teach others. And so it's like he's handing his gospel on to Timothy to tell others about it. Well, actually, it was a letter, really, but never mind. There you go. And again, it's like he's passing the baton on to Timothy. So Elisha asks for Elijah's spirit. Paul gives Timothy his gospel. In both cases, it's like that baton. You do it the other way around. Being passed on. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And kind of what our reading was telling us is that when that baton gets passed on to us, it's our turn to run our leg of the race. But all those that have gone before, the Elijahs and the Pauls, the people that we miss from our families, my mum, your mum, or the people that are big and important in your lives, they're up there. They're cheering us on and encouraging us in that race. Even if we can't hear them, they're there watching what we do. And we're called to carry the same gospel, the same truth that Paul passed to Timothy, and we're to do it in the same power of the same Holy Spirit that moved from Elijah to Elisha. thank you for helping. I think they deserve a really big round of applause. Thanks, guys. Really good. In fact, why don't you go and grab a chocolate? Go and grab a chocolate. Weren't they good? Awesome. We are going to have our prayers now.